Jesus Christ. What up, everybody? What's good? I am Winston A. Marshall, aka the Swaggy Blerd, and welcome to the Blerd Breakdown, the pop culture show for when you need to know, see what happened was. I am concerned for half a second that something is wrong with the stream, so I'm trying to make sure that anybody can actually see me here. There it is. Okay, it seems to be good on that end, so that's good. Okay. First of all, there's a couple things missing here. First of all, where the fuck is the goddamn logo? Why the logo not here? God damn it. God damn it, Bobby. Yeah, man. Upside for a lot of things. I am back in the thick of it as far as auditions. I actually mentioned this earlier. Hold on. Let's see if that solves that problem. Boom. There it is. I am back in the thick of it as far as, auditions go. The downside is just the idea that life comes at you kind of quick. And so you kind of have this issue of LA traffic will fuck you up. Like, I had this audition today specifically that was supposed to take place. You can see I have my setup behind me. I was just going to be self-taping this. And unfortunately, the issue with my current residence is that we have a massive construction project happening outside the building and has been happening now for, well over a year, maybe a little bit longer. And they get louder and louder every single day as they're building this thing. It's a complete monstrosity. I'll be able to talk more about specifically what it is once I'm done or once it's done. But we essentially need to move at this point. It's fucking awful. When I tell you I was trying to do a scene for this audition, and the entire time just beep, 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 the whole time. And so it completely ruined any chance I had of trying to get a good take. And it also made things horrible for, my lady who can end up with sensory overload issues, and she couldn't work because all she could hear was the beeping all fucking day. So it genuinely messed my day up, in which case, I was very grateful that I was able to hop on the road and get over to, for those that are familiar, Jay Washington's house. He helped me record it, and then I will get it in. When we finish here, I will edit it out and send it that way. But it just threw an entire monkey wrench into my day. Like, it went from me being very set on what I was trying to do today, into messing it all up, completely messing it up, man. And so even having this be ready is just absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get to the stories. I'm gonna essentially need a second. You're just gonna bear with me as I kind of set that up. Then we'll treat the show as normal, so then I can edit it out for the clips later. But I am gonna have another goal today for the super chats and the Streamlabs. If we get to, let's say 15, if we get to 15, I can't believe I'm saying this. I will wear some Washington Commanders gear for their game next week against the Lions. I am pulling for the Lions, but I will wear some Washington gear for that. If we get to 30, I'm gonna put up the 30 right here. If we get to 30, I will wear fucking Eagles gear during their game, and I will take photos to show you. So if we get to 15 super chats or Streamlabs today, I will wear Washington shit. If we get to 30 super chats and Streamlabs today, I will wear fucking Philadelphia shit. I could not be more upset that I'm making this with y'all, but let's make it poppin'. So I will wear Eagles gear during their next game. All right. Goal is set. So there we go. I'm not thrilled about it. As a matter of fact, I need to edit it real quick. Let's try that again. Okay. It needs to be teal or higher. Cause fuck that shit, bro. I'm not doing that for a bunch of $1 super chats where $30 to wear some Eagle shit. Nah, I can't do it. I can't do it, fam. But yes, if we do get that, I will guarantee to that. So the goal is sitting up there. Again, in order for you to do either one of those, let me put this in here real quick. I don't know if the chat's gonna work because I didn't get a chance to see if it works. Hold on. So let me try this really quick. I appreciate y'all bearing with me. Like I said, this was not how I saw my day going. As far as the delay on everything, I was trying to be here a little bit more on time. Oh, yes, the Authenticator app. That would be much easier. You fuck! Again, I appreciate y'all being patient with me, man. It was quite the day. There it is. So the number is this. Boom. Okay, there we go. Yep, it's this guy. Okay, now where do I see? Probably can't see the chats there. Oh, I got to do one of those pop-out panels. Sorry, guys, you just got to bear with me here, and I appreciate that you are. Whoops. Nope. Come back. You can come back here. You can come back. There. Now I have you guys front and center on the camera so I can just look right at your chats. That'll be super easy there. I'm going to close this. Okay. And then the news, I need to do a couple things. Again, I appreciate it. I'd rather have you guys here with me. And I'm going to continue while we do this to kind of, sorry that I'm upside down. Continue to kind of tell you guys what's going on. Or I'm not going to do this. That's really stupid. I guess I'm upside down. Cool. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're just going to do it. We're going to do it live. It's not letting me make any edits right now, and that's fine. We're not going to stress out about that. I will go and post and pretty it up like I normally do. So that's fine. So we have a few stories, man, and the first one obviously has to be this firing that just took place of Mike McCarthy from the Dallas Cowboys. So let me pull that story real quick as he will not be returning. Todd Archer wrote this one from ESPN. Mike McCarthy is not returning as the Dallas Cowboys head coach in 2025, Jerry Jones announced on Monday. McCarthy's contract with the Cowboys expired last Wednesday, but the team held an exclusive negotiating window with the coach until Tuesday at midnight. Over the past week, Mike and I had the opportunity to conduct a joint review of all aspects of the past season, our players and staff, and also spent considerable time discussing the road forward for the team. These discussions were thorough and received an appropriate amount of time and depth to cover, Jones, the Cowboys owner and general manager, said in a statement. Prior to reaching the point of contract negotiations, though, it became mutually clear that it would be better for each of us to head in a different direction. I thank Mike and wish him, his wife Jessica, and their family the best. They've been a wonderful part of our community here. Jones added that the Cowboys will begin the search for the team's next head coach immediately. McCarthy is expected to interview this week with the Bears, the Chicago Bears, for their head coaching job, sources told ESPN. Last week, the Bears had asked for permission to speak with McCarthy, but was denied by the Cowboys. The Saints are also expected to interview McCarthy. And coming off of a 7-10 finish in 2024, Jones will look to make the 9th head coaching hire of his tenure as owner and general manager. McCarthy had a 49-35 record in his 5 seasons as coach, but he won just one playoff game while suffering devastating home office losses in the wild card round of the San Francisco 49ers in 21 and the Green Bay Packers in 23. Jones had McCarthy and his entire coaching staff working out the last year of their deals after posting 3 straight 12-5 marks, leading them to the playoffs in 3 straight seasons for the first time since the 90s. The Cowboys opened the season at a 3-2 record but suffered 5 straight defeats and saw key players including Dak Prescott, hamstring, the quarterback, right guard Zach Martin, ankle, defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence, foot, cornerback Trayvon Diggs, knee, and wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, shoulder, and the year on IR. And after winning 16 straight regular season games at AT&T Stadium from 2021 to 2023, the Cowboys finished 2-7 at home in 2024, became the first team in NFL history to trail by at least 20 points in 6 straight home games, including the 2023 playoff loss to the Packers. Okay. Yeah, there's a bunch of other shit here talking about other coaches. Jones will now be on the lookout for his 9th head coach of his tenure dating back to 1989. Since Johnson, he has hired a hot offensive coordinator, Chan Gailey, elevated from within. Garrett, he was in 2010 to 2019, and Dave Campo, 2000 to 2002. Hired a top defensive coordinator, Wade Phillips, 2007 to 2010, and brought in Super Bowl winners McCarthy and Bill Parcells, 2003 and 2006. None has been the answer to end the Cowboys Super Bowl drought. Alrighty. Let me talk about why I'm pissed off and that this is actually a fucking problem. Okay? There's a couple reasons. The first thing is, it is not to say that Mike McCarthy's time needed to end. Am I still upside down right now, or is it just in that other one? I'm sorry about that. I'm just making sure that that's what's going on right now, because it looks normal to me. It was when I was in this news section, which is why I gave this up, because it's not letting me edit this right now, so I'm letting that go. We're good? We're good. Okay. So... Wait a minute. Did Dion get announced? Did I just miss that in that moment? Or are you just saying that? I see that you're here, Matt, and thank you for joining. Did I miss something? Because I don't think, I don't see anything, but that's most likely what's going to happen. Anyway, all right. Let me get back to my thought process. I have a problem with firing Mike McCarthy the way that we did for a couple of reasons. The first is, if you were going to do that, if you were going to actually fire Mike McCarthy, you should have done this the day after the last game of the season. That should have been it. There were already talks that you should have done it mid-season, but if you're not going to do that, that's fine. He should have been fired the day that the season was over. There's a couple reasons for that. The first is out of respect for Mike McCarthy and what he has done, which you have to give him credit for the winning seasons and getting us to the playoff 3 straight years in a row and all that. You have to give him credit for that. That is a reason why you let him go right then, because that gives him the best opportunity to go find a new job, as well as gives us the opportunity as a team to go find a good coach. Instead, you rested on your laurel. You waited like you did all fucking summer with Dak and CeeDee Lamb, and then we ended up in a position where now a number of the good coaches have already committed to other places. I know Belichick was a few weeks out going to college, so there's that. That's fucking gone. Mike Vrabel is now with the Patriots. That was a top coveted coach that could have been a fucking option. Just a number of those coaches are already done, gone, decided who they're going to go and do with. A lot of them have maybe decided to go to college, again, as Belichick has done, or whatever the fuck else. You've missed that opportunity. Let alone, there's a number of those coaches like Ben Johnson, who is the offensive coordinator up in Detroit right now, helping them go on their way to the Super Bowl. To my knowledge, has already started interview processes, but obviously, nothing will be announced or decided until they are done with their run in the playoffs. So you missed the opportunity to get some of these coveted coaches. Now, the only thing that has me have any sort of like potential hope lingering somewhere, and the truth of the matter is I kind of don't give a fuck anymore. And I've kind of said this before. The only thing is both, one, there is a slight chance after what happened with the Steelers that Mike Tomlin and the Steelers might part ways. And if that happens, then maybe you can get Mike Tomlin to come in. But the truth is, I don't see Tomlin coming to work for a guy that has to meddle in fucking everything. Tomlin don't play that shit. I don't think Tomlin is actually a bad coach. I think that Mike Tomlin is a great coach. I just think similar to what happened with Andy Reid and the Eagles, he has had his tenure there. At this point, he's not really turning out the success that he needs. They're still a competitive team, but every time they get to the playoffs, they fall apart. I think at this point, that is just because Mike needs a change of scenery and the Steelers need somebody else to try and lead that team. I think you put him in a new scenario like you did with Andy Reid, and you could see something similar going on with the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes right now. So why not us? That is why I think that could potentially be a good pairing, but I don't think that Mike Tomlin, like with the squad you have, yes. with those defensive pieces that you have in there, like a Diggs and a Bland and Parsons, and you could get and Lawrence when he comes back, and you could get them hyped to rally around this dude who might, like, people love playing for Mike Tomlin. Shit, you could genuinely see something magical happen there. But again, you got to deal with Jerry Jones, so maybe, but I doubt that's happening. The other option is Deion Sanders, and the only reason behind that is the idea of he's already worked with Jerry. He has a close relationship with him for all these years. But what he's been doing at Colorado has been magical, and he's kind of said that he really doesn't have any interest of trying to coach in the NFL unless he's potentially going to, like, coach his son and things like that. So Deion really should stay there. So that really doesn't leave a lot of motherfucking options. What are you going to do? You'll call Chip Kelly's bitch ass to stop offensive coordinating, where he's at? I think he's at Ohio State. Matt, you would know. I don't remember where the fuck he is. Like, there's not good options now. You waited so fucking long that this is where we are, and we don't have any good potential candidates to go forward unless there's somebody I'm missing that's been sitting around just waiting in the wings. They come popping out being like, I wasn't ready for this time. This is why I've actually said to a couple of people that I am in a state now of semi-fandom retirement. And what I mean by that specifically with the Cowboys is that my heart will always be with that team. It was a team I was born into, I was raised into. My parents didn't really give a shit about sports, but that was my hometown team, and I've become really diehard and all that kind of stuff, right? At the same time, I cannot do this roller coaster. No, I know we don't want motherfucking Chip Kelly. That's what I'm concerned about, is that we don't want Chip Kelly. At the same time, I cannot allow my life to be dictated from the emotional roller coaster that is being a fan of this franchise. Because as long as Jerry is here, we will not get to the promised land. We won't. So unless he dies or sells the team, this will be about his ego or his pocketbook. You can make the argument both, because as long as people are talking about the Cowboys, that's more money that he makes from that. Whether it be his ego or his pocketbook, we will not be successful. That is just a fact. That is a fact. And it's not an appealing job to have as the head coach of the Cowboys, because you essentially have to bow to Jerry's whim. You can't really outshine him, because if you do, he gets pissed off. That's why he ended up firing Jimmy Johnson, which was some old bullshit. And so we would genuinely just be screwed. So I have to mentally take a step back from this team, because I cannot allow myself to spiral every fall through winter over some bullshit, man. If Jerry could just sit back and just be the owner and let there be a real GM come in and do some stuff, because I'll give him credit. Him and Steven do occasionally get some really fucking solid draft picks. CeeDee Lamb is a fantastic draft pick. I'm trying to think some of the other ones. Micah Parsons, fantastic pick. Ezekiel Elliott, fantastic pick. Zach Martin, first ballot Hall of Fame and motherfucker, man. Like, that is literally what all of that is like. You can get that, but then that's where the buck needs to stop, and you need to let other people do that fucking shit. So as the owner, if you want to be like, hey, I want to see so-and-so, you need to try and work this out and something like it. And it sucks to have somebody meddle in your shit, but I would rather have a GM that was like, look, I got to do one for Jerry, the rest I can handle. I would rather some shit like that happen, man. But I digress. I hope, again, with my heart, that they figure this shit out, but I do not have anything left. I have nothing left. The slight hope of being done with McCarthy is there, sure, but the way in which this was done just further proves that Jerry is in no reality except his own. Jerry Jones is in his own billionaire 82-year-old ass fucking reality. He's going to do whatever the fuck he wants, man. So with that being said, let me know what you think down in the comments, man, how you're feeling about all of this, hearing the news and shit. Like I said, I am beside myself just how this happened, but let me know in the comments, and let's go on to the next one, man, as I'm going to pull up these Streamlabs. And as I mentioned at the start of the show, if we hit 15 Streamlabs and Super Chats today. I will wear Washington Commanders gear during their game against the Lions this week. I will document the whole thing. And heaven forbid if we hit 30 Super Chats and Streamlabs, I will wear Eagles gear during their game next week. God help me. All right, let's go on to the next story, which again, it's not letting me edit this stuff, so I'm gonna have to do this. Manually, and we need to actually talk about one of the greatest comic writers that also has done apparently some horrible effing things. The Sandman author Neil Gaiman has been accused of horrific sexual abuse crimes by multiple women. Neil Gaiman is best known for creating beloved properties like The Sandman and American Gods, but a damning new report from Vulture details allegations of sexual abuse and assault from multiple women. So that's going to be a trigger warning for anybody. The following article contains graphic descriptions of sexual assault. If you've known anybody that has been a victim of sexual abuse, you can contact RAIN for help at 800-656-HOPE. This is from Josh Wilding over at Comic Book Movie. Last July, it was widely reported that The Sandman, Good Omens, and American Gods writer Neil Gaiman had been accused of sexual assault by two women. While it appears no further steps were taken, at least as of now, several of the prolific author's upcoming projects have been quietly postponed or canceled. Vulture has today published a lengthy article breaking down many of the complaints made against Gaiman, who also penned a critically acclaimed Eternals run for Marvel Comics, and they make for utterly horrifying reading. Scarlett Pavlovich is the main focus of the piece and recalls meeting Gaiman in New Zealand after befriending his now ex-wife Amanda Palmer, becoming their children's nanny. Pavlovich's first meeting with the writer is said to have concluded with him convincing her to bathe in the claw bathtub in his garden while he made a work call. However, he's alleged to have joined her and, as Pavlovich recounts, I can tell you that he put his fingers straight into my rear end and tried to put his junk in my rear end as well. And I said, no. Then he tried to rub his junk against my breasts, and I said no as well. Then asked if he could on my face, and I said no, but he did it anyway. He said, call me master, and I will. He said, be a good girl. You're a good little girl. Other accusations include Gaiman using butter as a lubricant while forcing Pavlovich into having booty intercourse before forcing her to clean the feces from his junk. The report also claims he ordered her to give him fellatio while he watched screeners for the first season of The Sandman. My God. In one instance, he thrust his junk into Pavlovich's mouth with such force that she vomited on him. Then he told her to eat the vomit off of his lap and lick it up from the couch. That's the tip of the iceberg, and the rest of the published story is every bit as horrific. Several other instances are detailed with the ages of the women in question, typically ranging from 18 to their. Many of the women are said to have been fans, and that he met at signings, for example. Kendra Stout says she was coerced into rough sex with Gaiman, and after she requested that he stop beating her with his belt, he responded, "It's the only way that I can get off." Stout has also accused him of sexually assaulting her after she refused to have intercourse with him while dealing with a nasty UTI. Gaiman flipped her over on the bed, she says, and attempted to penetrate her with his fingers, the report explains. She told him no. He stopped for a moment, and then he penetrated her with his junk. At that point, she tells me, I just shut down. She lay on the bed until he was finished. It's unclear whether Gaiman will face any legal action in regards to these accusations, but as of now, Netflix intends to release The Sandman Season 2 later this year as planned. The writer has denied these allegations and other claims from multiple women. Okay. Let's all just take a deep breath for a second, because that is horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous to hear all of that. Again, first of all, this article from Vulture, let's make it very clear that these are all allegations at the time being, and he's facing legal ramifications from all of that. But I think it's important to let that be known. It's the same reason why I do Diddy or Didn't He. And again, if I had more time today, I actually had a very interesting one. I will save it for Wednesday in regards to what's been going on with Diddy. But I think above all else, man, I believe that, like we said, like I keep bringing up, I'm not always the biggest fan of Charlemagne the God, but the one thing he has said above all else is that we need to listen to all people. We need to listen to all women, believe all facts. And right now, listening is hearing these stories and these lawsuits that are coming up, and then we follow them as they go and see, like if charges ultimately get pressed, if lawsuits go through, all that kind of stuff. We need to hear what's going on, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that old adage of power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. This is completely heinous and disgusting. And it's one of those things that, again, I don't want people to go around and potentially support this individual if they're doing such horrific things to people against their will. Like, there are plenty of people, I'm not going to yuck anybody's yum, that BDSM stuff, Dom and sub play, all that kind of stuff, scat play, things like that. There are people that are into that kind of stuff, and I'm not going to yuck somebody's yum, man. You got to do what you got to do, but all that shit needs to be motherfucking consensual. And none of what was just read here sounds consensual at all. This sounds like a man with too much power doing horrible, horrible shit to people that they did not ask for. So the reason I just wanted to bring this up is, again, as the Blerd Breakdown, it's a pop culture show for when you need to know, see what had happened was. I've said that multiple times. But with the blurred element, we talk about the nerd stuff in this sphere. And again, I refuse to let this shit slide where then that's really how stuff gets off. I mean, I was going to do... We'll tie this together right now. This will be the next story. I had originally written down that we were going to do... there's a lot of like kind of effed up stuff this particular show, and I do apologize up front for that. But just talking about stuff going on here, since we talked about the stuff with Neil Gaiman, let's also talk about The Flash and how the director of the movie says the box office failure is a result of a mental health situation. So this comes from Mark Cassidy over at Comic Book Movie. Whether you happen to feel that the movie gets a bit of a bad rap or not, there's no denying that 2023's The Flash, starring Ezra Miller, proved to be a major misstep. Despite DC Studios co-CEO James Gunn hyping the film up as one of the best superhero movies he's ever seen in the build-up to its release, The Flash was not embraced by the majority of fans or general audiences and only ended up grossing $271 million worldwide against a reported production budget of $200 to $220. Now, director Andy Muschietti has spoken in depth about the movie's failure for the first time, and the filmmaker believes that a number of factors beyond his control contributed to the overall negative reception. The video interview was recorded in Spanish, so it's possible that some things may have been lost in translation, thanks to Real Anarchy for the breakdown. But he says, it's a result of a mental health situation, It turned out the way it turned out, let's say. I mean, they were dealing with a mental health situation, and well, when you make a movie, there are things you just can't control. One of them is when actors have a public relations crisis. They got into trouble, was arrested in Hawaii, etc., etc. I had, in general, a very good experience with them. They're a great actor, a great comedian. I was very surprised by them, but then, towards the end, I came across all of this. I'd say this happened months before the release, just before the premiere, and well, it was a setback. Later, other factors piled up, like, the fatigue with the superhero genre. Years later, I started learning about other things, like how when a movie like this is made, there is an expectation to appeal to all four quadrants of the audience. And this is a movie that, apart from everything else I mentioned, I think I failed in the sense that it didn't appeal to all four quadrants of the audience. When a $200 million movie is made, the studio expects to bring everybody, even your grandmother, to the theater, and in private conversations later on, I learned things like how a lot of people weren't interested in the Flash as a character. Half of those four quadrants, the two female quadrants, many women didn't care about Flash as a character. These are things that worked against the movie, and I gradually found out about them, but I'm very happy with the movie, and I highly recommend it. The Flash did actually receive decent reviews at 63% on Rotten Tomatoes and does have its defenders out there. Muschietti might have a point about the character not appealing to a broad enough demographic, but it's worth noting that the Flash CW series was the network's highest watched DC-based show. Fastest Man Alive will no doubt find his way back into the DCU eventually, but when asked on social media why we're getting a Clayface movie before a new Wonder Woman or the Flash film, Gunn said that they're holding a beat on development of a new project featuring the character, which would seem to confirm that something Flash-related has been discussed at least. Okay. Yeah. So a couple of things. I'm not going to say that Ezra didn't have a mental health crisis. Very clearly, Ezra had a mental health crisis. But let's not sit here and actually pretend that that was the sole reason why the film didn't go. Okay? The movie's not bad, but there's a lot of things that just like, I'm like, nah, bro, let's not. For one, the Speed Force that made all of the CGI look like the Scorpion King from the early 2000s. And I mean the Mummy Returns, not even the Scorpion King like the movie that you had The Rock in. I'm talking about when he showed up as the Scorpion King in Mummy Returns and how bad that CGI was. That was the same CGI we were dealing with in the Speed Force. That's nuts. It's 2024. At the time, 2023, you had ad infinitum amount of special effects that you could have tapped into, and with a $200 to $220 million budget, you better figure that shit out. That's the first thing. Let me just put that out there, man. But then there was just a lot of stuff in there that worked and like didn't work. You leaned very heavy on the Michael Keaton of it all, which was fantastic. But it went with a similar gimmick that we felt out of No Way Home, but No Way Home did it correctly. You didn't put enough emphasis on Supergirl. We got her for maybe 15 minutes in the film, even though she was teased to be a bigger part of it, and I think it would have been great. But more importantly, and I think that was the part that needed to be brought up, I just don't think that, like, as good of an actor as Ezra is, Ezra did not encapsulate that character the way that we have seen people like Grant Gustin do and do extremely well. Did you know the number of people that were like, hey, yo, just replace Ezra with Grant, man? People effed with Grant Gustin's. And again, The Flash was the longest tenured show of the DC shows on the CW. It was the most watched. It was the highest rated out of all of them for a majority of the time. Like, don't miss me with the people who don't care about The Flash. You just didn't do as good of enough of a job, in my opinion, to really draw people in. And whether that's leaving Ezra into the film, whether it's people didn't really rock with the story one way or the other, there was just a lot kind of going on there that just didn't vibe. And I don't necessarily think a lot of that is fully Muschietti's fault, because you got to remember this character of the Flash was the brainchild of Zack Snyder, and so then you got to take a step back. If you had a situation where like the character got to be developed first, the way Wonder Woman was, you may have seen Wonder Woman for half a second in Batman v Superman, but you got Patty Jenkins. You gave her the freedom to go make her own movie first and flesh out that character. Sure, the last season, the last season was garbage. I get that. I see somebody saying the last season of The Flash was garbage, but that's not the point. The overall, he did a fantastic job, right? If you would have had the opportunity to allow this Flash character to develop before we got to this point, then I think that people may have like received it differently. But of course, like I mentioned, you ended up in a situation where we kind of went with what we were given originally in the Justice League, which was garbage. And then by the time that we kind of were getting to the Flash finally, sure, you did the Snyder Cut version of it and all that kind of stuff, but it was already kind of set and things were moving forward, and then here we are. So is there a level of some sort of thing there that I could see? Yes, you are expected when you have a movie this big, you got to try and bring out everybody. But at the same time, if you make a quality movie, no matter what that is, like there's a certain point, like I was not taking my nieces and nephews to go see Deadpool because of how overly R those movies are. But you were able to find a way to appeal to a lot of different people, one way or the other, enough to make them dollars. So that's the only thing that I think is kind of a wild thing, is like you didn't know that you needed to bring all four quadrants. I mean, yeah, you have a main quadrant you should focus on, but you would need to, with a budget like that, hell yeah. Because I'm gonna tell you this, nerds like to spend their money, but all the dude nerds, that's not gonna be enough to net you all of that, man, unless this is legitimately the greatest movie of all time. It's just not. So that's kind of a weird set of statements. I really like Andy Muschietti. I really like a lot of his previous works and whatnot, but I just don't think this was it. And I think that there's this level of trying to protect, understandably so, his reputation as best he can for a movie that he's tied to that had a lot of studio interference and a lot of back and forth and all the drama of the DC flipping over and then the lawsuits of the execs getting pulled out and Joss coming in to finish up for Zack for Justice League. There was a lot of just baggage, and I do not envy him that he kind of had to push through this, but I would rather he call a spade, but I feel like he just doesn't want to rock the boat because he's still trying to move forward, man. But I'm curious what you think. Do you agree with Andy Muschietti? Do you not agree? Where do you sit on this entire thing? Let me know in the comments, man. And we're going to go on to the next story. I just want to remind everybody, of course, that if we end up hitting 15 Super Chats and Streamlabs today, I will be wearing some Commanders gear during the Commanders game. And if we hit 30, be wearing some goddamn Eagles gear and be cheering, doing the Eagles cheers and all that shit. I really don't want to, but, it is what it is. I am a man of my word. Okay. All right, give me a second. This next one was a wild story. Whoa, that's crazy. Bo Nix played through back fractures? Jesus. All right. This next story, man, is circling to the W. The superstar Caitlin Clark. A Texas man was arrested and charged with stalking her. 55-year-old Texas man was arrested on felony stalking charges in Indianapolis on Sunday after he allegedly repeatedly sent threats and sexually violent messages to Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark via social media, according to court documents. Police records show that Michael Lewis of Denton, Texas, was charged with a level 5 felony after he was arrested at a hotel in Indianapolis. He's scheduled to appear in court Tuesday morning. Lewis could face up to 6 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mayers and the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department first spoke on Lewis on Wednesday about his alleged messages to Clark on X, formerly known as Twitter, from December 16th through January 2nd. Been driving around your house 3 times a day, Lewis messaged to Clark, according to court documents. But don't call the law just yet. The public is allowed to drive by Gain Bridge, a.k.a. Caitlin's field house. I'm getting tickets. I'm sitting behind the bench, read another message. They said I was sending threatening texts, but the only thought on my mind, it was Caitlin. Jesus. Other messages were sexually violent, according to court documents. 22-year-old Clark, WNBA Rookie of the Year, told police she feared for her safety even before Lewis arrived in Indianapolis, and had even altered her appearance in public. She also told police that she never responded to any of Lewis's messages or posts. The posts actually caused Caitlin Clark to feel terrorized, frightened, intimidated, or threatened, and an implicit and explicit threat also was made with the intent to place Caitlin Clark in reasonable fear of sexual battery, prosecutors wrote in a Marion County Superior Court filing. Mears said the FBI tracked the IP addresses of Lewis's recent messages to a hotel in downtown Indianapolis, as well as Indianapolis Public Library. Indianapolis police then made a welfare check on Lewis, according to court documents, and he told officers that he was in an imaginary relationship with Clark and that he came to Indianapolis on vacation. Police told Lewis during the visit to not post things like he has been posting because his posts can be perceived as threatening, according to the court document. It's an imagination, fantasy type thing, and it's a joke, and it has nothing to do with threatening, Lewis told police. The messages to Clark continued after initial visit by police. It takes a lot of courage for women to come forward on these cases, which is why so many don't, Mears said. In doing so, the victim is setting an example for all women who deserve to live and work in Indy without the threat of sexual violence. Oh, boy. And in December, a 40-year-old man from Oregon received a 1-year suspended sentence and 3 years probation after pleading guilty to second-degree charge following his arrest for stalking UConn basketball star Paige Buckers. Jesus Christ. I'm really sorry that there's so many heavy topics today. I didn't mean to, but like it's just again, it was moving quick trying to get the stories, and unfortunately this is another one that came up. This is horrible. This is absolutely horrible. It's not to say that you don't end up with men in these situations, the whole swim fan shit. Yeah, no, that happens for sure. Um, I have my own story of not so far as a swim fan thing, but definitely a situation of somebody who really wasn't in a good place emotionally or mentally, who actively sought to sabotage my relationship with my lady when we first got together. Like, said some pretty horrible things, made accusations of racist things, all that kind of stuff. Uh, there are some uneven people out there, man. And that is also the scary part about social media and the internet and everything else like that. These parasocial relationships that happen. You get people that really go off their rocker and they are believing they're in something that they're not. It's not great. So let me really quick, if I can pull this up. I want to show you guys see if this is here. I want to show you guys this guy's, there we go. Take myself out of here for a second. Oh, you know what? I did this wrong. Let me. Uh-oh. OBS, you just don't make sense sometimes, if I'm going to be real with you. You make no goddamn sense, OBS. Ah! All right, let's try this again. Okay, that's Muschietti. There we go. Okay, let me try this one more time. If I maximize, it doesn't like that. Okay. Go away, come back. Okay. That's fine. On the edit, like I mentioned, I will have that a little bit better. But essentially, this is the dude right here. He don't look like somebody that's like normal. You know what I'm saying? He looks unwell. He looks very unwell. On top of that, let me see if I remember, it was because his thing was up. Yep, there it is. So he was tweeting at her a lot. Let me read some of these to you, dude, because this dude is completely unhinged. Caitlin Clark, you buy in. Caitlin Clark, you buy Coffalingpus, okay. Caitlin, you probably think making out is gross. You want to get coffee in the morning at Monumental. I'm at 2:20. I'm not in the mood to watch ball. You want to make out with me? You're a nun. I forgot. Do you even like to make out? Your area needs a real good pounding. You're not into sex, are you? Just video games and sports. You're so pretty, Caitlin. I'm in the mood for Italian. You mind if I oh, he's asking if he can perform oral on her. You mind if I email a business inquiry? He starts talking about his ancestors matriculated from Luxembourg to Des Moines. Like, this dude is not well. And this was a spam of messages yesterday. One after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. And he's apparently been doing this for a while. Like, this is all from the 12th. This is crazy. Who can stop the Lord Almighty? That's the other thing that's weird about this. And this is not me coming for Christians or nothing like that. But just this man over here, some of his other posts. This was from the 14th. Time Magazine takes a man, Chris Ruiz, turns him into God, and takes God and turns him into some wimpy cartoon figure. Conclusion, the devil owns Time Magazine. A gallon a day keeps a doctor away, about distilled water, I guess. Christ arrives with his church in Jerusalem, where he will rule the earth for 1,000 years. The Holy Spirit impregnated Mary. The Holy Spirit is as much the father of Jesus as Mary is the mother. The Father equals the Holy Spirit. The Trinity is fake doctrine. Like, this man is not well. This man is not well. Like, he's fucking crazy. So I really, really empathize and I'm so glad that nothing happened to Caitlyn, that nothing apparently happened to Paige, but it's a very real thing when we're talking about that there are some uneven fucking people and the stuff that they do. Like, again, it could happen to any gender, but what women deal with on like a whole other level, and you can only imagine female athletes, man, or actresses or things like that. Anybody in the public light is absolutely wild. Absolutely fucking wild, man. But all that being said, man, let me know what you think about this. If you heard anything else about it, what's the weirdest story you've ever seen yourself dealing with someone like a stalker or something like that? Don't get too crazy in the comments, but let me know what's going on there, man. Let's try and talk about a little bit of positive news right now, and then I'll close out with one more story to get out of here. So this next one, and again, I apologize for having the graphics up. This will be on the clip out. Captain America Brave New World is projected to open north of $100 million over President's Day weekend. Okay, this is Josh Waldman comic book movie. Very early opening weekend forecast for Captain America Brave New World landed earlier this weekend. The MCU movie has since hit tracking boards, offering a far more accurate idea of what to expect next month. As Deadline reports, Anthony Mackie's first solo adventure as the MCU's new Captain America is currently eyeing a 3-day Valentine's Day President's Day weekend haul of $85 million to $95 million. Over the 4 days, it could easily pass $100 million, a solid result for a movie that also stars Harrison Ford, Tim Blake Nielsen, and Giancarlo Esposito. As things stand, there's a good chance Captain America Brave New World will score the second highest opening Captain America movie behind only Civil War at $179.1 million. Captain America Civil War was essentially an Avengers movie in everything but its name, so a better comparison would be Winter Soldier, which debuted with a $95 million opening. Brave New World's awareness among moviegoers is higher than other upcoming releases, and in terms of competition, Paddington and Peru isn't shaping up to be that much of a threat. The movie is unlikely to break records, though, as Black Panther at $242.1 million, Deadpool $152.1 million, and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania $120.3 million rank among the highest-grossing comic book movie released over the 4-day President's Day weekend. It is, however, worth noting that tickets have yet to go on sale, and Marvel Studios is expected to hype the movie during next month's Super Bowl, so it may ultimately exceed expectations by at least topping the Ant-Man threequel. Recently, Mackie addressed reports that Brave New World underwent extensive reshoots. It wasn't retooled at all. Every Marvel movie I've done has done reshoots, and it's not retooling or remaking, the actor explained. It's basically get the movie and the story you want, you edit it together, then go back and shoot a few more scenes. WWE superstar Seth Rollins has since contradicted those claims by revealing his scenes have ended up on the cutting room floor. All right. And just for those that don't know, Brave New World, after meeting with in Captain America Brave New World, after meeting with the newly elected U.S. President Thaddeus Ross, played by Harrison Ford, in his MCU debut, Sam Wilson finds himself in the middle of an international incident. He must discover the reason behind a nefarious global plot before the true mastermind has the entire world seeing red. This opens in theaters on February 14th of this year. Okay. I think that is huge. That doesn't mean that the movie is necessarily going to be super fantastic and all that kind of stuff that we're hoping for, but to know that it's tracking at that is a good sign. That means that people are still on board to at least check it out and see what happens. I will say that I am excited. There is something specifically tied to this that will be an exclusive here on this channel. I cannot tell you what it is yet until I am ready to actually release it, but it is set up. I'm getting that all scheduled out right now. Hopefully it happens before the drop of the movie. It might happen a week or two after. Again, it depends on scheduling, but I have a very, very big exclusive here that I'm super excited about, man, which will be super awesome. But all that being said, like I had mentioned before, I don't really trust any sort of screenings that happen in that regard, because everything before, like people were stressed out about, oh, Superman looks bad, like whatever. I heard that the screenings didn't go well. The screenings are meant to find problems. They are literally meant for people to go in and go, this doesn't work for this reason, this doesn't work for that reason. So all of those screenings and whatnot, because we haven't gotten to any critic screenings or any fan screening or anything like that, to me, just don't apply until we really get there. Reshoots do happen all the time. So I just don't, this isn't a thing that I'm really here to entertain, because the trailer so far has made it look good. I just really hope, as I've said before, trailers can be misleading. We just got to hope that that is not what's going on here. You know what I'm saying? So I am very excited about this movie. I'm very excited to see what happens. It is my third anticipated out of the 3 MCU movies and my fourth out of the superhero movies. So that does say something. However, the idea of seeing Sam Wilson's Captain America in full-fledged, get up and go, the idea of getting to see Red Hulk, all of that, it all sounds fantastic. So I'm ready to get into it, see what it is. I will be covering it both on Capes and Cows and here on my channel, both the theater reactions and the reviews and the exclusive that I've got for you coming. So please be sure, if you haven't already, to subscribe to the channel. I can hit that button, right? That'll work. That's not even working. Dope. Make sure to add that in post. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. And, make sure you check out all of the content that I got here on the page. Man, this day is just working out just so lovely. I woke up with such great energy, bro. And this day said, you know what? Fuck your energy, bro. I don't give a fuck about your... Oh, man. Okay. Let's get to the last story that we're going to cover today. I was going to cover this Eagles thing, but enough negativity. I want to talk one more MCU story, one more nerd story. Looks like we will probably not get to our goal today, but that's totally fine unless people want to come sweeping in. But that is totally good. This one is also from Comic Book Movie. This is from Mark Cassidy. And why Black Panther, we may know some of the actors who declined an offer to play the new T'Challa. Earlier this week, there was a rumor shared on Comic Book Movie that Marvel Studios might be planning to introduce a new take on T'Challa in the MCU. The initial report via Jeff Snyder suggested that Kevin Feige and company were searching for a new actor to play a variant of the same character that the late Chadwick Boseman portrayed, but it seems more likely the studio is actually in the process of casting an actor for the role of the original T'Challa's son, Toussaint, a.k.a. Prince T'Challa, who was introduced at the end of Wakanda Forever. Whatever the case may be, it appears quite a few actors believe that accepting the role would be akin to replacing Boseman, and either feel like it would be disrespectful to the beloved actor or simply don't want the responsibility of filling those particular shoes. We've already heard that one actor declined Marvel's offer to play the new T'Challa, and it sounds like at least 2 more have followed suit. YouTuber She Dreads Me has reached out to some industry contacts and was told that John Boyega from the Star Wars sequel trilogy, Damson Idris, Snowfall and Swarm, and David Oyelowo. I'm going to get completely just roasted and train wreck for that. That was embarrassing. But from Selma and Silo have all turned down the opportunity to suit up in the MCU's new Black Panther. This is why I love doing shit pre-recorded so I can erase the embarrassment. But let me take my lickings for that shit because I fucked that one up, man. We have heard Boyega's name mentioned ourselves, and Idris wouldn't be at all surprising since his star is very much on the rise. He came close to landing the Jon Stewart role of Lanterns before Aaron Pierre nabbed it. But David, 48, would seem a little old to play even an aged-up Toussaint, unless they are casting for an OG T'Challa variant after all. Keep in mind that these actors are just rumored to have been offered the role, but it does seem like Marvel might be having some trouble finding someone to play this character. It's not quite clear if T'Challa will debut in one of the upcoming Avengers movies, but providing this rumor is on the level, he's expected to feature in Black Panther 3. During a 2022 interview with the New York Times, director Ryan Coogler admitted that he'd be glad to stay on this franchise for as long as folks will have me. I feel blessed that I have an opportunity to work on these movies, bro. When I got asked to do the first one, it was like a moving train. I thank God every day that I was able to jump on it and meet these people, these actors, and to meet Chadwick during some of the last years of his life. I'll do it as long as folks will have me, but I think it's bigger than just me or Joe. Between the first and second movie, we made $2 billion at the box office, which is what matters the most to corporations. So I hope it continues, man. I hope people are still making movies about Wakanda long after we're gone. Okay. So some of the other names that I've heard a lot. I see that as well. That Aldous Hodge said that he wants the chance to play T'Challa. I think that he would crush it. That's the big one. But unfortunately, I could say Kavanja. Maybe I can't. Kavanjane Wallace. I apparently can't say her name either. I used to be able to. I'm just broken. Yeah, man. I will be honest. For those that are familiar with Eman's movie reviews, he led the charge. He started the hashtag recast T'Challa, and I said from that point, I said specifically, I would prefer if they didn't recast T'Challa right now, that in the next movie you do this. You have a situation where Shuri's looking for T'Challa early in the movie, so kind of like in the beginning of the movie where he ended up dying, you put him in a situation of, so he was in battle, you could show Black Panther fighting, and then something happens and he's gone, and Shuri's freaking out. And they're searching for him, and they cannot find T'Challa. So then you pretty much, whatever movie you wanted to tell, which was the movie that we got after that point, you do that, and then your post-credit scene, Shuri has finally accepted that she is now the queen of Wakanda, and she has to take on the role, take on the mantle, and she's sitting on the throne, and then you just get an over-the-shoulder shot of like a severely damaged Black Panther outfit, habit, whatever, and you just see Shuri look up and go, brother? And then boom, end of movie, and then the next movie that you want to do that, you can do the recasting then. Then you get a couple of different things. You have not killed the character. You just you allowed for Shuri to be the Black Panther, which happened in the comics. You allowed little black girls to see themselves in it. You still have a means of being able to, respect Chadwick for a movie, and because you could still have the funeral and everything, because everyone thinks T'Challa is dead, but he wasn't dead. You find out later the motherfucker was in a different dimension or some shit. You know what I'm saying? And then all that kind of stuff. And then you given enough time to let people grieve and then recast. I feel like that would have been the perfect way to handle it myself. And I said that as much to E-Man. He's like, I don't necessarily hate that idea and whatnot. But what his biggest concern was, they were straight up like, we will never recast it. The role is officially gone. And while I did not believe that, I feel like I had egg on my face based upon how then T'Challa was just really phased out of everything, which was grossly offensive, knowing what T'Challa means to so many people, but especially to black folk, because that is one of our first major superheroes that we got to see, and he is so special in so many different ways. The fact that he's a king, the fact that he's like the richest man on earth, the fact that like his skill set, that he's put on par with Captain America, and is smart enough to mix it up with Reed and Tony and Strange, and he's on the Illuminati and all that kind of shit. Like, this character is so special. His relationship with Storm, like, there is so much that this character means. And so this idea, yes, Black Panther is a mantle, but the character of T'Challa, in the same way that Captain America is a mantle, but the character of Steve Rogers is so important. The character of T'Challa is so important. I do think the Black Panther mantle can be passed along. I do think that the mantle of Captain America can be passed along, because some people like to be like, Captain America is always, that's not the name of the thing. He is the spot man, the blonde head, or whatever. Again, that particular Captain America is very important. I will not take that, but that is a mantle, and it can be passed to Sam or Bucky or whoever takes it up, because Captain America is supposed to be an ideal. Kind of in the same way that Jonathan Kent can also be Superman. It is a mantle that that Clark passes on to his son. So I say all that to say, man, I am glad that it sounds like this conversation is seriously happening about finally recasting T'Challa. I hope it's not too late. I hope that I thought that Ryan wrote a wonderful story. The son thing, it is what it is. I do hope what we ultimately get, and I mentioned this during Capes and Cows on Friday. I hope it's a situation where it's like, you know what, it is a variant. It was the Black Panther that was kicking it with the Fantastic Four in the 60s that were eventually getting brought into the 616. And that's the easy way to fix that problem. But if that's the case, Fantastic Four is coming out. So it feels like this, either you're going to very quickly do a post-credit if you do get the person, or they've already got it. Who knows? But all that being said, please let me know what you think down in the comments. If you also are excited about the idea of Black Panther coming back and who you think would be a good choice. Again, I actually really like the Aldous Hodge choice, but if it's supposed to be an older version of the kid, yeah, I kind of wish that they had gone with the variant thing and you could use a Fantastic Four. And I wish they'd gone my idea. If you liked my idea, everybody go tag Kevin Feige and be like, yo, this nigga Winston knows what he's talking about, bro. That would have been a fantastic story. Let Ryan know. Let me just be like some random guard in Wakanda. Like, I'm the one male Dora Milaje. I could be like Paul Walter Hauser in fucking Cobra Kai, where I'm just like not good at shit. That shit would be hilarious. I don't know. Whatever, man. Either way, let me know. And that is going to be the Blerd Breakdown. Thank you so much. I do have, it looks like, one super chat. So let me go ahead and read that. From Eric Kirby, who says, hey, Winston, David Atlanta TV shows. Both are good. If you've seen them, please tell us what are your pros and cons for each show. Yeah, I have seen them. I love them both. Atlanta is in my Mount Rushmore of TV shows because at its absolute peak of its powers, it cannot be beat. It is some of the best comedy we've ever seen. Absolutely, just like some of my favorite episodes, the band episode, which is funny that I named my Weekend Update show a band as well, but that mine's for Breakfast AM News versus Black American Network was that show. That one had the fake commercials, which was fucking hilarious. I thought that shit was absolutely fucking hilarious. The barbershop episode, which is essentially what happened to me this motherfucking weekend. What else? The strip club episode where you just feel like you're spending money constantly with the invisible car and shit. Like, there's just so much good shit in Atlanta. It is fucking fantastic. The final season with Goofy. Oh my God. Dave is also fantastic. You have some really heartfelt episodes like, Gata, who is actually a collaborator with Lil Dicky. Who's on the show, and he's got bipolar disorder, and so there's a whole episode covering that. There's a fantastic episode with Dave wanting to date Doja Cat, and he got her number and all this kind of stuff, and it just did not work out because he got insecure about something, and a lot of people that are famous talk about how isolated they feel being in the industry. Doja's been very open about that, and so they kind of cover that, and I thought that was really well done. There was a lot of good stuff in Dave. Now, some of the cons, I think my biggest cons for Atlanta was how far spaced out the seasons were. It was like years at a time. It feels like it was the beginning of that whole stretch of, we're just going to do shows every 2 to 3 years, whatever we feel like it or when we get there. I didn't love that part. There may have been a bad episode or two of Atlanta that I felt, but overall, I have nothing but positive feelings from it. Dave, my biggest issue is I felt at times like it was so derivative of Atlanta that like it was its own thing, but it genuinely did feel like the geeky, like white Jewish dude version of Atlanta at times. Which it's still a good show in what was done, but when something is that closely derivative to it, I'm just kind of like, damn, okay, you just kind of, what's the whole saying? Like, hey, can I cheat off your homework? Yeah, just change some of the answers a little bit so they can't tell the difference. They were like, cool. They didn't change that many answers. But yeah, that's just my thought. I love both of those shows. I highly recommend them to both people. Dave's finale of that last season was incredible. And so was the finale to Atlanta. I'm very sad that Atlanta is over, and I'm not sure if we're getting back to Dave again. I don't know if there's another season that's been announced, but Either way, I want to thank each and every one of you for watching, man. I promise on Wednesday, I will have a much more put together show. So please come back on Wednesday. It will be at 6 p.m. Pacific time, on time. I don't have anything else going on that day. The only way that might happen, stay peeled to social media. If you don't follow me already on, all the platforms, especially Twitter, go and check that out. If I, by chance, end up with a callback or something like that, it happens from time to time, or I book something, I may have to move the show. But as of now, there's nothing going on that day except for work. So that means that I will be able to prep the show Tuesday night, solidify it Wednesday during my lunch. We will be good to go at 6 p.m. With the full kit and caboodle. So I don't want you to miss it. So definitely come back and do that. Please be sure to check out one of these other videos right here that will pop up for those that are watching this on the replay. And check out the clips, man. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of other stuff that will be coming on the channel, my exclusive for Brave New World, which I will tell you more about when that time comes, as well as I think tomorrow I will drop my best of 2024 because I need to finish editing that. So once I have dinner, I'm going to finish editing that tonight, and that'll be out for you tomorrow, so you don't want to miss that. And then I will do my anticipated of 2025 on Thursday. And that should be it. We'll do Monday through Thursday this week. And again, each week I will give you should pretty consistently see me streaming twice a week, and I will give you that schedule. But we'll do that. So again, watch for these videos right here that is popping up. And other than that, man, I will see y'all tomorrow on my best of 2024 video. Y'all stay safe out in these streets. And again, for those in LA, please be careful. The winds are out and they may be cutting power. So please be careful out there. I will see y'all in the next one, man. Peace. Probably should have prepped my outro. Oh yeah, post-credit scene, I guess. Yeah, I forgot. We're going to be doing reactions soon, and I forgot about that White Dog movie. That is on my list. One more time, on this channel, man, I'm going to do that post as soon as I hit stop. Please be sure to give me your recommendations for movies you want to see me do reactions to, because we're going to do that shit. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. Them CPT reviews, them CPT rewatches. Peace. Wow.